but we will definitely know something Friday and Monday at the latest with when we meet as a dojo in the district. Okay, there may be some schools that opt out. Okay, that's nothing we can do. I mean, Uniontown's already opted out. Summit's already opted out. There may be other schools opting out. Okay, they may affect your schedule. Get with your signers. Okay, your signers should be sending you stuff, because I send everything to you. I send it to the signers. They should be getting you stuff, basically telling you what's going on. Okay, as soon as I find out something Friday and Monday, I will let all the presidents, like I have in the past, I'll let all the presidents and the chapter secretaries know, then they can get information out to you guys. Okay. I don't really have anything else, guys, unless you guys have questions. There's been a lot of questions that have been asked, and I'm okay with that. So if you shoot and fire, and let's go. Let's answer the question or ask the question. Hey, George, good to see you, man. Any questions, guys? You need to unmute yourself. I know that.
Hey, Nick, this is Jim Paston. What are they talking about the umpires, where we're going to be positioned?
Yeah, right now
we're in the line of fire.
Yeah, we're going to keep you behind the defense. Okay, that's not going to change. Okay, but what they want you to do is they'll let you move back, 2 or 3 more yards. Okay. It used to be up, like right in that linebacker, 1 or 2 yards off the middle linebacker or whatever. They're allowing us to move back 2 to 3 different yards. Okay, 2 or 3 more yards. Anything else, guys?
Nick, this is Darren again. What authority do we have on the field to enforce the stick crew with masks? And if the ball boys aren't doing a proper job, is that all game administration?
That's all game administration. I'm glad you brought that up, Darren. You are not the COVID police. Okay, if you see something happen on the sidelines, that you bring that to game administration. Let game administration handle that. They know that the ADs know that the stick crews have to wear masks. Okay, it's up to you guys whether you want to wear a mask or not, but I would not get in, I'd stay 6 feet away, no close conversation with coaches or whatever, but that's game administration. What I would suggest doing, okay, Monday, and you brought up another good point, Todd, or Darren. What I would suggest doing on Monday mornings when you talk with the ADs, I would suggest you guys have, put one guy in your crew in charge of bringing 6 water bottles or a case of water or whatever, and give that to a junior member of the training staff, and have that training staff only have your water. Okay, they've got enough kids on the sideline to worry about the kids and players and everything else. How we had timeouts last year? They'd bring out 5 or 6 trainers, and everybody would ask the referees if they wanted water. Well, they can guarantee I can't think of the right word. They can pick one of the trainers from the home team to have the water for the officials on the sideline. Okay, I wouldn't leave those bottles unattended. I wouldn't leave them on the 20-yard line. I wouldn't leave them on the bench. I would make sure somehow that one of the training people had that stuff, or even you could talk to the head trainer about it. I'm sure they would make arrangements to make sure that if you wanted water on the field, that's how we would do it. Okay.
Are we allowed to wear gloves, Nick?
If you want to, yes, you can, Jimmy.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
For us to touch the ball all the time.
Yeah, if you want to, you can. Okay. Yes, you may. And then the other thing about balls is I would, I know we try to not change balls as much as possible, but once that ball goes outside the numbers this year or the top of the numbers, well, I'd throw that out and get another one in. And this way, you're going to slow the game down too, and I'm okay with that, because you remember we're going to get that 40-second clock running. Okay, as soon as that ball is dead, all right. If we have a first down, those referees are going to wind that clock as quick as we can. Now, we're not going to wait till we set sticks and stuff like that. I remember if anybody attended the WPFOA clinic, the biggest thing we saw with referees is the fact that we waited till people got ready. As soon as that umpire gets that ball, okay, the game clock should be running. The 40-second clock will already be running, but the game clock should be running as soon as that umpire gets that ball. All right. Any other questions, gentlemen? Danny, nothing? Danny Laria, nothing? No questions from Danny.
Trying to figure out how to use his computer.
There's a first time for everything. First time for everything, that's all.
All right, hey, if there's no other questions, now, hey, please ask now. or you could send me an email if you don't want to. If you don't want to ask online, please send me an email. I'll answer what I can answer. Expect something Friday afternoon or Monday afternoon from me to the presidents and the secretaries. Then you guys can get it out to your membership. All right, stay safe. Have fun with it, and who knows where we're going with it. The words are subject to change, guys. So, I mean, that's what we're dealing with this year. They want us to play fall. There was 25,000 emails sent to the PFOA office wanting to play fall sports. So, and that's from parents, from kids, that's from administrators. So there's a huge amount of emails going around. And the governor wasn't, he got his fair share too. Let's say that. So, all right.
Nick, are they talking about when the first game will be, the 0 game or number 1?
The first scrimmage is going to be either that Friday or Saturday. Okay, the 4th of September. Then the first game will be September 11th. All right, September 11th or 10th. Because believe it or not, Friday Night Lights is going to do games on Thursday nights again, some games. There's a game on Thursday night this year. So, but the first game will be September 11th, and then we'll go to October 23rd, and then October 23rd, 24th, and then whatever round of playoffs we have will start after that, if we get that far.
Are they going to be doing Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, like they said, due to the lack of officials? Or is it just going to be Friday, Saturdays?
I think we'll be okay with that, Darren. If the signers haven't contacted you guys yet, then I'm pretty sure we're okay with main games will be on Friday night. Mainly some schools have moved theirs to Thursday, okay, because they wanted to play on Thursday. Seneca Valley moved one to Thursday. I know Hampton and Mars is Thursday night because they want to be on TV. That's a Friday Night Lights game. So there may be some games moved from Friday to Thursday due to TV, but the majority of them, probably 90% of them, will remain on main. So the Saturday games that got moved to Friday was those homecoming games. Like Burgettstown now is moving back to Friday because they're not going to let them have homecoming, although they're still going to do the parade on Saturday. The Shaler game got moved back to Friday night because no homecoming activities. But the other thing that we have to worry about too is the fact that Allegheny County schools still have the 25 or the 50 people ban, whereas Westmoreland County and everybody else has a 250 people outside ban. There may be games being moved from Allegheny County schools out to the surrounding counties if Allegheny County doesn't lift the limit on how many people can gather on the outside. So, like I said, anything's subject to change, guys, really. So just bear with us, bear with the PFOA, bear with the WPIL, and they want to do this for the student athletes, okay? If you have any questions, anything happens in a game, get your signer. You need to get to me. All you guys know my email and all you guys know my phone number. All right? All right, gentlemen. If there's nothing else, thank you, and have a good meeting. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Nick. We appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. There you have it, straight from the head guy. So it looks like we're going to move forward. That was that backs up everything I've been hearing from multiple people as well. So start planning, getting your uniforms ready, all that good stuff. As I said before, I got a mask. I'm not sure how your crews are going to handle it. The referees specifically have to wear a mask if they're addressing for pregame, but it is optional for us to be on the field to do so. Jimmy Passon brought up the good point about the umpires. They still want those to be behind the defense, but you can drop a little bit deeper. Everything's going to have to be communicated much more clearly with the schools to see what their restrictions are. And every county, I'm sure, might have some things different. We work all over the place. We work Westmoreland, Washington, Greene County, some of us, Allegheny. They all may have different requirements for schools, and each school district might have something different. So you're just going to have to be flexible. The good thing he did say is you don't have to be there till an hour and 15 prior. You can go to the game dressed. I don't know how that's going to work for after as well. As we discussed before, if you have a foul weather night that's completely muddy, are you going to have a place to change after the game, or are you going to have to jump in Dittler's case, $50,000 SUV and go home? I don't know. But that's going to be an internal crew thing. I'm going to take some plastic with me and have my stuff in a wet bag, basically. Be prepared for that. I don't know if the schools are going to want you inside or not, but to each his own on that one. I'm going to try and change. If I have to go in the parking lot and stand between my doors, I'm taking my pants off and getting something comfortable and clean to drive home in at the very least. So that's going to be an individual judgment thing. I know we've had some movement on crews. One of the assigners has been contacting people trying to fill spots. So there is still some availability out there as far as games. We have some guys that might still need to move around, and depending on if it's Friday or Saturdays, we'll see how that goes. We'll let Ray talk a little bit too. We have some schedules to fill there as far as youth and other things, clock jobs. So we have that. Make sure, guys, that you're closing out your dates on Arbiter if you can't work. If you don't want to work youth games, close out Friday, Saturdays, or block off a specific time in the afternoons. If you can do JVs in the morning, that's great, and you don't want to work anything else, just please let him know. If he sees you're open, he may give you a game. We're not going to do the email back and forth thing now. He's got the schedules. He sent it out to a few people or whatever just to test the water, and we're going to go forward from there. The Greater Pittsburgh Youth Football Diocese League has 10 teams at this point, so they're going to have 5 games weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. So if you're not available one of those days, just please block them out. We are going to probably work in collaboration with other chapters to give them some games as well, because as it stands, we have the only youth league working in this part of the state at this point that I'm aware of. So I know Greater Pitt, their league shut down. The other league we had shut down. So it's an olive branch, and it gives other guys a chance to work. There's no reason we should hog all of them, and we may not have enough guys to cover. 12 guys a weekend may not want to work. So, yeah, if you can't figure that out, we can have a talk. I know Arbiter's not up to every speed on everyone. If you've never used it before, some of us use it for multiple sports, so we're pretty well versed. If you're not sure, just contact myself or Ray, and we can walk you through how to do that. So, yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I joined a little late. Did Nick touch on the issue I think we talked about last week, that potentially we may have to sign some type of liability waiver when we get to a game? I think you brought that up last week. Can you clarify that? You heard
I did, and I sent him an email about that. He had sent that all the way up through the state, through the legal guys at the TIAA, and there is no backup for us, basically. It's an individual choice. If you don't want to sign that, then you may not get the assignment. I know when I sent our schedule out to the assigners, I said we won't go to a school where we have to sign a waiver, because most of the insurances and NASO that Ron has consider that a communicable disease for COVID, and it may not be covered anyway. So, I mean, that's going to be an individual choice. We're independent contractors, as they say, and that falls back on your insurance and what you're comfortable with doing. But
Okay.
the state has no provision for that. They basically kicked the ball back to us and said there's nothing within their bylaws or the way this is working that they can provide anything for us at this point.
Okay, and what was the waiver, or what type of waiver are you talking about? What would we eventually have to sign if we go to a school?
I've seen it because my kids are now playing, they're getting ready for soccer and for basketball. It's a participation waiver that you won't sue the school or pursue any type of legal action should you become ill during one of their sporting events.
Okay.
My question to the state as well was, can we require the school to sign one to protect us, that they won't come after us? And they did not give me an answer. They said that's up to the individual school district or location you're working and whatever they feel comfortable doing as well, because it would probably have to go through their channel to the school board and everything else. That's why he said contact that AD even the Friday prior or as soon as possible to see what the requirements for that particular district or game site are, because they may want you to come in a mask. Some may not be so concerned about it. It all depends on where you're going to be, and I'm sure there's how many schools in Whitfield you're going to have different response from virtually all of them.
Right. Okay, great. That's good explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone
Hey,
else
Darren.
have anything to add on that point?
Hey, Darren,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me? It's Ray.
Yep.
I couldn't get myself unmuted here when you was talking about the schedules and everything, so I just wanted to give a little brief update here.
Go ahead.
I got the South Allegheny schedule today. I got the Moon schedule. I did send it out to a few people already. They're going to let me know what scenario they're going to use as far as running their games, whether it's going to be that hybrid thing or whatever. But they're going to let me know, and I'll get that in the crew's hands before they go do those games. Also, on the Catholic League on Sundays, they're going to have a couple Saturday games also, and Sundays. They're starting on the 29th. Now, they used 3 officials, and they used 3 officials last year. The first game was was really small kids, and they had a running clock. Well, this year, because they got 10 teams, you got more kids, they want to try to get them some more playing time. So they're going to do 8-minute quarters, and then for the next group up, they call it junior varsity. They're going to do 9, and the varsity, they're going to do 10. Now, when I say junior varsity and varsity, these aren't high school kids. These are the midgets. They're going to be 9 and 10-minute quarters. I did tell them, well, if you're going to do that, we need a little bit more money. So I got us a little bit more. Last year, you got 140 for doing the 3 games. This year, you're going to get 155. So I hope that's okay with everybody, and negotiated a little bit higher for you because it's going to be a little wee bit longer. But he just sent me the schedule this evening. I even had a chance to look at it and where all the locations are, even with the new teams. But I should be reviewing that in the next couple of days, and I'll get those schedules out. And if there's anybody that's not going to work, try to give me an email and let me know so I can figure out what we're going to do here. We're going to have at least 3 games of those 5 because the one league that came from Moon, their athletic association, they joined the Catholic League, and Greater Pittsburgh used to do that whole league that transferred over to the Catholic League. There's 5 more teams. I talked to Ron at Greater Pittsburgh, and I told him that I would give him 1 or 2 games so that his guys had some work to do because they don't have any midget games at all. And I'm not sure if we were going to have 5 crews to work all those games on Saturday and Sunday. But that's where I'm at. I should have all these schedules in Arbiter and contacting everybody before the end of the week. Okay?
Yeah, Ray, any chance of getting the 4 guys on those second 2 games? Because I know the league in the Greater Pitt used to do. They used 3 on the first and 4 for the second 2. Those kids get older and all the rest of that as well.
Well, they worked them all. They worked them last year with just 3 on all of them. I'll talk to them. I told him that, I said, I don't know what these bigger kids are like. I said, but we might need 4 on that last game. And he says, well, whatever you need. So I'm going to talk to them and get us 4 officials on those games.
Yeah, because they're having these other teams come in. They're going to have more income from those joining. I'm sure they're going to have to pay to participate. So I know it gets to be tough sometimes with 3 guys covering even 3 games. That 4th guy does make a difference, and then they're less concerned about missing calls and everything else like that. Because I've seen it. If we can do that, it would make it easier on everyone. I know it's an expense for them, but it's also a risk for us as well.
Well, if anything, I'll try to get us 4 for at least the last game, and I'll try to get it for the last 2 games. But we'll see how I don't know what their finances are like. I don't know any of that. But I think he's willing to work with us, so we'll get it done.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have any questions for Ray? Any comments or anything at this point?
I haven't got a schedule from TJ yet, so I don't know if they're going to have a season or not. When I talked to Mark, he said he was going to talk to his brother, but he wasn't sure if they were going to have sub-varsity games this year, so I haven't heard anything from them yet.
Okay, and how are your clock situations? I know some of the guys that may not be working on the field might be able to help you out as well.
I have. Well, I didn't. I lost to Monty Christian. They did that real nice field down there that Chatham did for them in Wilkinsburg, and Cliff called me from there. And he said, "Hey, I might need you for the clocks, but I got to check with the Chatham to see." And he did, and Chatham says, "No, they got to use their people because it's a sophisticated system or something, some type of bullshit." But so we lost that clock game down there, which was a really good one. It was like $75. It was nice.
Yeah.
But I do have Northgate, and we might get South Allegheny. He's going to let me know. But and then naturally I got East Allegheny, but he likes, when I'm not there, he likes to use his own guy up there. But yeah, we'll have a couple there. And then I got the names of those new guys that joined the chapter too. I'm going to try the 2 rookies that just that joined us, that just got their certifications this year. I'm going to try to fit them into some of those games too. So. That's all I have.
All right. Well, all right. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, we'll move on. I know this is taking the first half an hour, but I think it was definitely worth the time to discuss this. And Nick gave us the good heads up. We'll move on if we can for Mike and Denny to talk about the rule for this evening. You might have to do like the condensed version, or if you want to do one of the shorter ones, that's up to you. So go ahead and take that for the next about 20, 25 minutes, if you could, please. Mike Woodrich, you still there?
Yeah,
thank
I'm
you.
here. I'm here. Give me a second.
Now, Mike, I'm sorry, but are you going to talk about the subversity tonight too, in addition to this, or was that going
I
to be
was
for
not
another?
planning on it. No.
Okay, we'll hold that for another one. We still have some time, but sorry I didn't get hold of you ahead of time. It's all yours.
Okay. So yeah, do we have Denny? Denny out there? I told him to mute his speakers, thinking that was probably the source of the echo, but
He needs to
hopefully-
unmute his phone. He's on the list as being on. He needs to unmute his phone.
unmute your phone, Denny. Which is, good. Okay. Well, Denny, the first couple of steps are easy, so we'll, as you figure that out, I'll have you jump in when it starts to matter. All right, so tonight we're going to go over Rule 9. I did actually throw a little more into this, so maybe we won't get all the way through it tonight, but that's okay. We got lots of weeks. Obviously, conduct of players and others, a lot of meat here. If, the couple of new guys, if you haven't read the rule book, well, read the rule book. What are you waiting for? But also you should know that, there's a lot of business in Rule 9. So we'll try to hit some of the highlights tonight. I'm not going to hit it all, but there's a lot of stuff here. All right. So, starting off 9-1, one of my all-time favorite rules, the helping the runner. Not often called. I know there's a lot of strong opinions about whether it should be or shouldn't be. I'll simply say it is a rule. It is a 5-yard penalty. Anytime an offensive player pushes, pulls, or lifts, or otherwise assists the runner in his forward progress. I do have some film. So that Danny? That's got it. Yeah. All right. So you're back. So I got some film. We'll try this one out and see if I can present it properly. Maybe you're familiar with this one.
Okay, can you hear me, Mike?
Yes, I can.
Oh, wonderful.
Can anybody see the video?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, what rule are we showing here? Mike,
We're
9-1?
talking 9-1 with the
Beautiful.
aiding the runner.
Okay, you new guys, make sure you're referring always back to Rule 2 for definitions. Go ahead.
All right. So obviously, what did we see there? We saw famous. If you're, if you saw this game, very obvious example of a tailback in this case aiding the quarterback in getting across the goal line for a score. Added momentum to him and made the difference in this case. I know George. We were in a game last year. One of the coaches was all hot and bothered about aiding the runner, and I went back and looked at the film, and he really didn't have any argument there. Maybe there was one play where that happened, but things that I would look for in this is because there's going to be piles, there's going to be a bunch of people, and offensive players pushing defensive players is not aiding the runner. If they're in a big pile, they're pushing the pile. But if you have an offensive player who clearly pushes the runner from behind or pulls the runner from behind, that's going to be what we're looking for in this foul.
Or lifts and carries the runner.
Or lifts and carries. I believe you had a specific.
Indeed.
That one.
Otherwise, Mike, you described it well. If they're just hitting the pile, they're not hitting an individual, and this is about player safety as much as it is gaining an advantage. What a young referee has to look for on that play is illegal motion forward. That's where you keep your eyes open. Go ahead, Mike. We're on another video here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so another example of this, if we watch this number 35 here, who came from the end, he's going to give a little help for the first down here at the end. And this would be another example of that. Maybe a little more subtle because he does have defenders behind him, but you know, the commentators are giving him credit for a second effort, but that was definitely an assist by the receiver there. So anyway, another example of what that might look like. Oops. All right. So, and the one of the best signals of all time, right there. Moving on, 9-2. Illegal use of the hands and holding. This covers a whole lot of stuff. Obviously, any kind of holding is going to be involved in there. One of the ones that we don't see too much, but I wanted to point out with some film, was this interlocked blocking. I don't think, I imagine this was the kind of thing, and forgive me for sounding junior, but probably legal in the 70s, but is not legal now. So an offensive player can't grasp or otherwise encircle another teammate to form a interlocked blocking. So holding hands, linking elbows. I think I saw this in a scrimmage last year, where during a scrimmage kick play, like a try for point or a field goal, they did the old-fashioned grab the leg or whatever, the guy next to you. That falls under the heading of this interlocked blocking, and that has actually the same signal as hating the runner. So not frequently used, but this is an example of what they're talking about with that, where you have these three linemen who are interlocked together and that obviously have an advantage over the defenders in front of them. So there you go. That poor kid right there was stuck behind him. So anyway, so that's what we're talking about with that. Of course, let me get the right thing back up on the screen here. So another element, I can't say that I've seen it. Denny, maybe you have. Runner can't grasp a teammate. That falls into the heading of this.
And then, not long ago, runners regularly would grasp the blocker in front of them, like they grab them. And there, you've seen this, Tommy. I know any older guys have seen it, and they would like kind of direct that kid and throw him into a defender, and that's why they separately say that the runner may not grasp a teammate. It's a matter of not giving someone extra momentum. However, keep in mind, a runner can always use a free hand to stiff arm, to push, to actually, well, I don't know how much leeway you give them yanking somebody to the ground, but of course they can't grasp a face mask either. But runners are allowed to use their one free hand. Okay? But this rule was meant to prevent runners from grabbing the shirts of blockers and shoving them into defenders. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. And then the last piece I wanted to highlight, this another, again, you don't see it much, but it is out there. A defensive player basically using his hands to add momentum to the charge of a teammate on the line. I believe this is referred to as playing with leverage. And, you might see, I suppose you could see it on any down, but, something like a kick play or something where they're really trying to get a line surge is a place to watch out for this. I don't have any film on that, but anyway, there it is. All those are.
That's a good call for an umpire.
Very
because
good.
What will happen there, the linebackers or a defensive back will creep up, especially like you say on a kick play, and he'll come up behind the ass of the defensive tackle, or maybe two of them will, and shove him into the guard to kind of break through there. And that's exactly right. That's a foul. It's a subtle one. It's hard to pick up, but umpires, you got a good look at that.
All right. So another one, again, we're pretty familiar with this, but just a little refresher here. So talking about blocking below the waist and blocking in the back, of course, is generally not legal, but there's a special provision if you're talking about in the free blocking zone. And then I got a figure on the next page that sort of helps clarify that. So these players in the blue blocks, A 1 through 6 and B 1 through 4, they basically, while the free blocking zone exists, can block below the waist or be blocked below the waist or in the back, as the case, whatever happens. This B5 over here, he is in the box, but not on the line. So he's not allowed to be blocked below the waist, but he is allowed to be blocked in the back by one of these players right here. And then, of course, anybody who is not on the line or not in the box is A7 and B6 cannot block below or be blocked below or in the back. And one of the ones we're going to have to watch out for is probably this A7, potentially this A6 going low on somebody charging in like a B5. So that's going to be a call that we have to get, because that is illegal block below the waist. Talking about the free blocking zone, of course, from the definition, this is the side, 3 up and 3 back, 4 to either side of the ball. And it does disintegrate as soon as the ball leaves the zone. Some people will try to argue, and Denny, you can give your opinion on this, but you can't block low on a shotgun. I think as long as it's the initial contact, then the spirit of the rule is being maintained there. I don't want to split hairs trying to judge whether a ball is covered 3 or 4 yards at the snap. Like, if it is the initial hit, if it's the initial contact, they go immediately into that, then I do not think that's a foul, and I wouldn't call it as such.
Well, that's instantaneous with the snap of the ball, so it's allowable.
Yeah.
So once that, like if you cited a shotgun, another thing would be, say, a deep pitch that would go from A2 to the quarterback, and then he pitches deep back on the yard line to, say, A7. In the meantime, you had a guard pulling down the line, and here's B1 who was on the line of scrimmage, who was in the zone, and he gets blocked low. And if you're a referee back here, you might only see that block. So that's where you get some help from your side wings on that one, that the ball has actually left the zone. So that guard coming down the line cannot block low because the ball's out of the zone. New guys, refer to your definitions, chapter 2. That's 217 as a full description of the free blocking zone. Gets you out of a lot of trouble when you know that rule.
Indeed.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right. Oops. There we go. All right. So 9-5 is non-contact unsportsmanlike fouls, and won't go line by line here, but a lot of things that we're familiar with seeing. Delay or excessive prolonged act, which a player attempts to focus attention using disconcerting acts or words prior to the snap, attempt to interfere with A signals. All right, awareness check sat. That was taken out this year, right?
Yep.
Good call, Mike.
Not to jump all over me there, but anyway. So new for this year, disconcerting act, no longer an unsportsmanlike. There's a new rule for it, 719. And it's now a 5-yard penalty. So I wanted to highlight that. Again, the rest of the stuff I think we're pretty familiar with. We kind of know unsportsmanlike conduct when we see it. And since we're in the neighborhood, we'll jump ahead to 9-8, which is unsportsmanlike conduct by non-players. Similar set of stuff that we saw in 9-5. One thing I will point out, and I was an official in South Carolina for 4 or 5 years, and I never saw this at all. But in Pennsylvania, I actually see it quite a bit, is coaches using tobacco on the sideline. So keep an eye out for that. It is an unsportsmanlike conduct. Usually I kind of sidle up to the coach and remind them that using tobacco is, in fact, unsportsmanlike conduct foul, and that usually takes care of the problem.
Mike, I have a question. This is Jim.
Yeah.
You watch the NBA, everybody has this social stuff on their backs and stuff, and if our kids have the game towel and they have something written on it, are we looking for that stuff?
I mean, that's a good question. Strictly speaking, they're not allowed to have anything on any towels. I think we're within our rights to say, hey, it needs to be a plain towel with a logo, no bigger than an inch or whatever. I guess
we're not only within our rights, we're bound by the rules with that, Mike.
Okay.
Anybody that's wearing a towel or any emblem or any eye black, that even it says something religious like John 3:18 or whatever they use, that has to come off. When you'll see that, because in your pregame, so we're going to get there an hour early. What are we going to do? We're going to take the field. So you're checking for equipment for all of that stuff, and that is by rule. Get rid of that. You don't need somebody making a derogatory statement via jewelry or a decorative towel or eye black. That's all within the realm of our rules. Check every kid out.
Eddie, what about on the tape, like on their ankles? Everybody tapes their shoes and their ankles now. Is there any rule on that where they can write on it, or on their shoes even?
They could write something like "I love Mom," but they can't write "Screw the Panthers." You know what I mean?
Right.
They could write their girl's name if they want, but they can't write anything baiting or taunting. It's unsportsmanlike. You tell them to get that off. If you see that, man, that's, Dare, you're busy as a referee. Your guys that have to be looking at the players. Don't you? It's not socialization time. We only have an hour. Got to check the whole field, and every player gets a look for equipment. Every kid.
Problem we had last year, they would be great pre-game warm-up. They'd go back in to the locker room, and when you bring them out to the field, they're all painted up like Braveheart. They have all the eye black down their cheeks and everything else like that.
Yeah, that's technically illegal. If your face is completely painted, but if you didn't catch it, but even on the second glance, if it's saying something derogatory, or if it's a baiting or taunting remark, you have to. It's an easy one, Coach. 15. You know what I mean? That's an easy one. That's a no-brainer. Get him out, get it off his face, and then bring him back in.
We're gonna have to be very careful how we address that. Yeah, we're gonna have to be very careful how we tell them to remove that. Don't let your personal opinions into it. Be very careful what you say, because everyone's gonna be hypersensitive this year to lots of stuff that they wouldn't even think about in the past. So make sure you're covering your own defense there, and if you can, have another official with you when you're making these corrections, because people are going to be looking just for a reason to explode and to let their feelings be known on every subject.
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff, for the newer guys, a lot of this stuff, be preventative. Mention it. You can give a warning. Naturally, there are some things that go over the bounds of sportsmanship first time out. You try to be preventative with unauthorized conferences or kids out of them. Shoo them back at least once. Don't be out there like throwing a flag first time. You got to communicate with these people. As Darren said, very calmly, we're not emotionally involved in that game. We don't care who wins or loses. So you're real calm, Coach. Get these kids under control. Because if they bump into you, it's 15. Sideline interference, that kind of thing. You let them know that. They should be policing those sidelines. They know that by now. It's been years. But
all right. So yeah. And obviously we have the rules on our side with that stuff. All right. So other stuff in 9-8, they talk about the attendance on the field. Only 3, none of whom are a coach, can enter to attend the team when authorized during an official timeout. If they don't have that number, they bring more out, and they bring a coach out, that is a 5-yard infraction. And then getting on to the sideline items, which I think is going to be a much bigger deal. I think we've been getting better and better over the last couple of years enforcing these items, and sidelines, I think, are showing some improvement. At least from my perspective in the middle, they appear to be getting better. Side wings can probably attest better. But in any case, so we got a couple of different fouls. 983 is talking about being in the restricted area but not on the field during when the ball is live, and then when the ball is dead, having no more than 3 coaches in there. Again, this is the first offense is a warning, the second offense is 5, and any subsequent offense would be 15. So to summarize that, and the signaling for the referees is a little bit different as you go on. This is again no contact. This is somebody being in the restricted area when it is restricted. The first event is the warning, or first offense rather is the warning. That's signal 15. That's the everybody get back signal, if you will. The second offense is 5 yards, and that gives signal 29 is the sideline interference with arms behind the back. And the third offense is again the dead ball, the sideline interference, and then unsportsmanlike conduct, signal 27. Now,
Mike, before you go on, we had a question on the new allowances this year for the players allowed to be down to the 10-yard line. We're going to have to be cognizant of that as well. I know it might be habit for guys that have been doing it for a while, but we're going to have to be aware that players only, not coaches, are allowed down to the 10-yard line now.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And they're not allowed in the restricted area, even when the ball is dead. So we'll have to keep that in mind as well.
Now, my question to you is, if they go to the goal line, if their guy breaks one, are you going to flag him for that, going past the 10 and running with their guy to the goal line? I would say yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If we would flag
That
him,
goal line has to be ours. And that's going to be a lot of kids unsupervised from the 25 to the 10. They'll, when the ball's hit the 15, the whole team will pack in down there, and the coaches will be 10 yards. That's 30 feet away. Those kids might be in your guy's ear. Who knows? They're kids. They'll say anything. So we're going to have to be extra careful on that area when it's just the kids. That's a good question. They're going to be unsupervised from the 25 to the 10. So can you imagine? Unsupervised kids, no adult. Just your guy, just your side wing there. He'll have like 30 kids behind his back. Who knows what they'll say? You think at Clarendon they're going to say, great call, ref. Great call. They're going to give you the business. You're going to be on an island out there. Your side wing, they're going to be very much exposed out there.
Yeah, I guess
worry about that.
Yeah, I would as well. And honestly, I worry some about the coaches. Last year, and maybe it was just my luck, but as somebody in the middle, I get the fortune of hearing everything from the players. And a lot of them come back and start complaining about coaches or attendance that from the opposing team coming off the sidelines, speaking ill to them, shall we say. And I got to say, we got to jump all over that. Anytime you have an adult, speaking in an inflammatory manner with a player, I think that's a serious problem that we need to cut out immediately. Shame on the adult, but we have to do our part and flag that and nip it in the bud.
Sure, we've had stick crew guys we've had to throw out because they wouldn't be quiet. You're not allowed to be a cheerleader. You're there as part of the officiating crew. If you can't abide by that, then they have to be replaced.
Okay. So anyway, moving on, the non-contact issues for sidelines, and then the contact. So if there is unintentional contact for 948, the first event is a personal foul, a non-player personal foul, and that is sideline interference. So signal 38, signal 29. The second event The second offense is again another personal foul, but that one garners disqualification of the head coach. Regardless of who you ran into, the head coach is responsible for maintaining people out of there. So he is going to suffer disqualification if it happens the second time. All right. Which brings up, so what infractions are charged to a head coach? So there are 5. So failure to comply with restrictions at the coin toss. So if they bring out 5 captains or something like that, and obviously it's a completely different story this year, but just in general, having only 4 captains and everybody else off the field at the coin toss, not being ready to start the first half or not being ready for the 3-minute warm-up after halftime, players wearing illegal equipment after they've already given their verification that they are properly equipped, or the sideline infractions that we just discussed. So there you go.
Did Nikki mention the number of captains at the coin toss? Did Nikki happen to mention that?
No, but there's
Mike,
only going to be
you-
one. Only one captain.
One captain. Okay.
That was in the health and safety handout that the state has sent out that's on their website. One coach, one captain, and the referee. No other officials.
It's
least
also on our
participating
website
director.
there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So moving on and back, I guess, to Rule 9.4, legal personal contact. Again, this is not unsportsmanlike. These are contact fouls or personal fouls. Some of them I think are obvious. 9.4.1 and 2 is fighting or intentionally contacting a game official. Both of those are automatic disqualification, and 15, of course. Some of the other ones, acts that incite roughness or charging into or throwing an opponent who is obviously out of the play or after the ball is dead. Those are kind of the very obvious things. I bring them up here, though, because sometimes people have a tendency to call something like this charging into somebody or playing after the whistle, hitting somebody after the whistle, unsportsmanlike, when it is not. It is actually a personal foul, and it's important that we call it properly. Since personal fouls, while certainly having the same player get multiple ones is probably worthy of disqualification, it is only 2 unsportsmanlike fouls that require disqualification. So there's that. Also under here, there's quite a few things. Face mask is part of 9.4, as is the horse collar. I got a little video on horse collar if we want to watch it. At least maybe we have one. Let me see.
Yeah, those are a good rule to look at.
So let me get this up in here. I hope.
And her.
All right.
Remembering that last year there was the rule change on grabbing at the main play.
Yes, and so I think I was thinking of a different video. This is actually from my notes. This was a video on hurdling, so this is line jumping from the NFL. I think the way they interpret the rule is a little bit different, but it would apply to us as well. Now, the hurdling for us would only apply if they were trying to jump over a player who only had feet on the ground. So 1 or 2 feet is all they have on the ground. They don't have a hand. So linemen down in the ground with a hand or an arm down or a knee down would not constitute hurdling. But for your viewing enjoyment, I'll let you watch Palomalu jump over the thing here. So enjoy that. All right. So I'll put that away. Okay. All right. So also under 9.4, of course, is illegal helmet contact and stuff like that. Again, all of that falls under personal fouls, and we've seen those. So yes, I was right. There is something in horse collar there. Again, as Denny mentioned, last year, or the nameplate area was added to to the area which will constitute a horse collar. Here's the video I was talking about. And they talk a little bit about horse collars. They say in the video that it doesn't apply to the nameplate, but it's a little bit old, and just bear with them. Can everybody hear the audio?
No, I can't hear it, Mike.
Okay. Well, I'll just kind of fast forward here then. He's talking about the rule. So.
Where'd this video come from?
It was on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, well, like I said, there's a lot of good videos on YouTube. The California Association, the guy's very thorough on there too. If you just do a search for that, they have a rule meeting every week as well with videos, and they break it down as well if you guys need extra help or clarification on some of this stuff.
Yeah, so in the spot here, you'll notice that there is somebody who grabs in the area of the horse collar, but doesn't actually bring them to the ground. And that obviously is not a horse collar tackle. There are elements, the elements that are required is that they grab in the area, either inside the shoulder pads or the side collar, or in the nameplate area now of the shoulder pads of the jersey, and subsequently pull them backward or sideward and bring them to the ground. That is the foul. If you don't have those three elements, then ultimately you don't have a horse collar foul. And what they point out in the video, and is evident, if it's not this play, it's the next play they show, one of the key indicators is the buckling of the leg. That's one of the telltale signs. You know, obviously you can see the grabbing, but when you see the leg buckle, that's kind of the telltale sign that you probably have a horse collar there. So we'll watch. So that one wasn't. I believe we have one here, though. So pushing the runner forward is not. All right, again, this is not a foul because he's ultimately grabbed and pushed forward. Holding up a teammate is not. I'm trying to find the actual video of a horse collar. I didn't realize you wouldn't be able to hear the audio, so it's kind of pointless. Okay. So there he was grabbed by the collar but thrown forward, so not a foul.
Right. But the ref threw the flag.
Yeah. Now here.
Now that one, that's your horse collar right there.
Yep. And the telltale again was the buckle.
Yes. Yeah.
There
That's a horse collar tackle there.
And the runner knew it too.
Even though if you look at it, he goes down on his stomach basically, but
yeah,
oh,
he
no,
kind
his
of pulled down to the
his
side.
legs buckled. Yeah, that's one you should have.
yeah.
So I guess it came from Colorado football officials. That's where it came.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Gotta give them credit.
Good one, Mike. Good one.
Credit where credit's due. There we go. All right. Whoops. Hold on. Doesn't help if I don't put the presentation back up.
Okay.
All right. So what do we got next here? Why won't it change? All right. So illegal participation. This is what I was writing you about earlier today, Denny.
Yeah.
So illegal participation, we often, like to mix this up with illegal substitution or substitution infraction. And I think in my Rule 3 presentation, I have maybe a better write-up and comparison here. But quickly, first of all, we have to define what participation is. And again, you see up on the screen there where I have it from the definition in 230, any act or action by a player or non-player that has an influence on the play. Very good example, tackling somebody or blocking somebody is obvious influence. touching the
Well,
ball.
that's the definition of participation. Now
Right.
you start to lay out what constitutes illegal participation. See what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So now, prior to the change, or if there's no change of possession, these changes of possession, don't let them throw you for a loop. No player of the offense or the team in possession on a kick, K, shall go out of bounds intentionally and return to the field to play during the down, unless blocked out of bounds. So intentionally or even accidentally, they stepped out of bounds, correct?
Yes.
So you're looking at a player's intent. But him just making the mistake of stepping out of bounds, that's deemed intentional. He you know what I mean? It's an accident, but so now he's under scrutiny. He's out of bounds. Where did he come back? And then did he affect the play?
Right. So,
Because
and this was,
you can go out of bounds and eliminate yourself as a player.
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
As long as you don't come back.
That's exactly right. And that foul is where you came back in and participated. That's where you mark that foul,
Yes.
if you're going to call it as a foul. So this applies to A or K. And that was the discussion we had. Why doesn't it belong to B and R? But it does belong to B and R on certain plays.
Yeah.
Like,
So the
and no player can go out of bounds and then affect the play without
Right.
establishing themselves as a player.
Now, can you have multiple fouls on that same player? That gives the R team or B, I guess, as a choice at that point, correct? You have to give them all the options.
What it is there is you want to make sure you catch that one, because there might be, in other words, you might have the defender stepping out of bounds, and then he fouls, right? Or the pass is complete and he fouls. Then you would have an option. One would be a loose ball because the ball was in the air when he stepped out of bounds, and the other one would be an end of the run type play. So when that's why you want to get these fouls on participating illegally by that sideline. Because one, there might be an offset. You might have a foul by A and B.
Is this going to be a
You know what I'm
side
saying?
wing? Yeah, it's going to be a side wing call
Yeah.
more than anything, right? Because the deep wings have the receiver downfield, or they're watching everything else. This has to be the line judge or the head linesman call.
It could
correct?
be. It could be the short wings. Billy, Shank.
Yeah.
Are you Shank?
Yes.
Are you watching when you're out there as a side judge or a field judge, and you got the widest man as he's coming down the field? You're watching his action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And stepping out of bounds would be big.
Yes, it would be.
Okay. So that's on the widest guys. That we're gonna tell the younger guys, we're gonna discuss positional mechanics as we go here, because these younger guys are going to get used.
Yes.
They're going to get used. They're going to be on a varsity field, so they got to know the mechanics of them.
Very important they get the basics down, because they will be utilized. If we're shorthanded. On a side note to that, I did talk to Nick, and he seems to think we're good. There will not be any enforced Thursdays, Saturdays, whatever, unless the schools choose. He seems to think we have enough officials at this point to cover most of the games. Some guys may have to double up, but there's enough crews out there. So hopefully that'll be the case.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike, is this a good spot for you to stop? I know it's a little after 8. I don't want to go too much longer. I know you prepared a lot for this, but
I think we should pick. I think next week we should pick it up here with illegal participation, because there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I can just
There's
pick
the
it up right
deception
here.
aspect. As it ties in with substitution, there's the deception aspect. There's playing with 12 men. There's players running out of bounds because they think they're the 12th guy and then running back, that kind of thing. So that we could pick it up right here, Mike.
Sure.
Don't you think? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we didn't plan for you to come and talk today, so it did cut into your time a bit. I do apologize for that. We will try and have a board meeting prior to next week. Meeting, we'll try and do that early if we can, 6:30. As the TIAA and Whitfield should have some guidance for us by then. And we'll try and provide more clear guidance for you guys as well to see what we're doing and all of that. We haven't discussed anything about dues or anything because we were uncertain there's going to be for this year. So we'll see what they have to say. We'll have some discussion moving forward. We'll let you all know as soon as we hear something. Like Nick said, as soon as he lets me know, I try and get that out. I know a lot of you have probably seen the emails for the sub-varsity as well. We'll talk about that in one of the rules meetings coming up before those games start. I think they actually begin on either last week of August or early September as well. There's different choices that the schools can make for that, but it has to be agreed upon ahead of time. And they can't change it once that decision's made, once the game begins. As far as kicking, it's like if you've done youth football, they can eliminate the kicking aspect of it as well. Or they can run it as a scrimmage, 10 and 10, 10 and 10. So, any questions on anything up to this point, guys? I know it's a lot. I think it was good that Nick came on and gave us some stuff. I saw some things pop in on the chat. What do we have here?
Who are the new guys? Gary Petrella? Is he here? Petrella, and what's the other kid's name? Dan? The new guys.
Dan Hughes.
Yeah, I'm
Dan Hughes?
Yeah, Danny, Gary's here. I'm on.
Okay. Make sure you're going, when we're talking, make sure you're going to the rule 2, the definitions. Nothing's more important than starting right there. Okay?
Yep.
We were talking about 235, when we were talking about illegal blocking, 235, and then go to 217. It completely explains the free blocking zone, and then go to 222, and it describes hurdling. Make sure that you know the definitions of these things. Okay?
Got it. Yep.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. There was a question in the chat about dues for the TIAA. You are still required to pay your dues and keep your card and go to the state rules meeting for whatever sport you participate in. If you want to go inactive, that's your choice, but you still have to pay it. Just like going inactive if you're leaving for a job or whatever. If you want to keep your card, you have to pay the state. We have not decided on the chapter for that yet. Like I said, we were going to discuss what was going to happen should there not be a season, or if you choose to go inactive when other people go to work. That's something the board's going to consider, and we'll give you an answer on that the next time after we meet. If you're not working this year, that's one of the things to consider for us. We don't want anybody to lose money doing this, but it's also an unforeseen circumstance we're in. As a chapter, we're in a good place financially. We do have money to do some different things. We're probably not going to have a smoker this year or anything like that, so that'll free up some funds as well. And those are all things that the board will discuss, and we'll let you know what the outcome of that discussion is.
There, and I was going to say there's
Gary. Okay, I'm sorry.
There's some guys that aren't from our chapter, so if you're talking about chapter business.
Okay. Oh, yeah, thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. Yeah. That concludes our chapter.